She told me she was healing. But the same day, she was on a date. Her coworker secretly recorded. We'd been together for 3 years. The kind of years where you build routines without realizing it. Like which mug she'd always use for tea, or how her left sock always vanished in the laundry. I thought those little rituals meant something. That they were signs of comfort, longevity. Turns out they were just habits, easy to replace. It started with her silence. Not the angry kind. The kind where someone withdraws an inch at a time until one day you realize they're miles away. I'd ask her how her day was. Fine. If I made dinner, she'd eat 3 bites and say she was tired. She used to kiss me goodnight. Now she rolled over without a word. Then came the talk. I just need time to heal, Nick. She didn't even look me in the eye when she said it. We were sitting on the couch, the same one we bought together after spending 3 hours at IKEA, arguing about color palettes. Her fingers were fidgeting with the hem of her hoodie, and her voice was too calm, rehearsed. Heal from what? I asked. She paused. I don't know. Everything. Life. I feel broken. I need space. Just time alone. I'm not ending things, I need to find myself. I was stunned. We hadn't fought. I hadn't cheated. I hadn't yelled. I was always there. Her biggest supporter, her quiet anchor, and now she needed to drift away. I could have begged. I could have accused her of something, anything. But instead, I nodded, like a fool. If that's what you need, I said. I even helped her move, carried her boxes down 3 flights of stairs, drove her across the city to her friend's place. She kissed my cheek and said, "You're a good man." That sentence stuck with me for days. It sounded like something you tell a puppy you're leaving at the shelter. I told myself she'd come back, that this was just a phase. I replayed old memories like mixtapes, the way she used to run out of the bathroom with wet hair, singing some indie song off-key, the way she'd squint at menus like it was the hardest decision of her life, the way she cried watching a stupid dog food commercial. I held on to all of it. The first week, she texted a few times. "Hope you're okay. Therapy is hard but helping. Still thinking of you," I replied with care, not pressure. I didn't want to scare her off. Second week, the texts slowed down, then stopped. She unfollowed me on Instagram. I wasn't even blocked, just gone from her digital world. Like we'd never existed. I told myself it was part of the healing process. That maybe watching my stories was painful. That she needed boundaries. I bought into it. I even started therapy myself. My therapist said I had attachment wounds. That I was trying to fix someone so I didn't have to look at my own pain. It hit hard. By the 3rd week, I had dreams where she came back. Dreams where we were in the kitchen again, laughing over burnt toast. I'd wake up and reach for her. Cold sheets, silence. Then came the night that shattered everything. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I'd had a terrible day at work. 2 deadlines missed, 1 client yelling, my laptop crashing mid-design. I came home, made noodles, and opened Instagram just to zone out. That's when I saw the story. It was from Rachel, one of Emma's coworkers. We'd only met a couple of times at office events. Her profile wasn't private, and I hadn't even realized I still followed her. The story was from a rooftop restaurant. Fancy place, soft lighting, wine glasses, skyline in the background. And there, in the middle of the frame, was Emma, smiling, laughing, dressed up in the navy blue dress I bought her for our anniversary, leaning across the table, holding someone's hand. And then, a kiss. Not a friendly peck, a slow, leaned-in, tender kiss. The kind you give someone you want to go home with. I dropped my phone. I stared at the wall for maybe 5 minutes, my noodles going cold. My first thought wasn't even anger. It was confusion. She told me she was healing, that she needed space, that she wasn't ready for anything, that she was broken. So why did she look whole with someone else? I went back to the story. It was still up. I screen recorded it. My hands were shaking. I clicked on Rachel's profile, hesitated, then sent a message. "Hey, I saw your story. Can I ask when that was taken?" She replied almost instantly. "Tonight. Lol, why?" I stared at that message like it was written in another language. I wrote, "Just wondering. Is that Emma?" She sent the shocked emoji. "Wait, are you Nick?" "Yes." "OMG. I'm so sorry. I thought you two broke up forever ago." She said you guys ended months ago. I didn't know she was still in touch with you. I didn't answer. I couldn't. But she kept typing. She's been seeing that guy for a few weeks. I thought they were cute together. I seriously didn't know she was still talking to you. She made it sound like you were some toxic ex or something. Toxic. That word hit me harder than the kiss. I was the one who carried her stuff, who stayed quiet when she walked away, who never demanded answers, who waited. And I was the toxic one. I typed, "Can you send me that story? Just the video." She hesitated. "Are you okay?" Number, "But I need the truth." A few seconds later, the video arrived. I watched it, again and again, until the screen blurred with tears. Then I noticed something. As the camera pans back at the end of the video, Rachel's voice is faint in the background, laughing. And Emma turns to the guy, Zach, I think his name was, and says, "I told him I was healing. He bought it like always. My heart didn't break. It evaporated. And I hadn't even hit rock bottom yet." I don't know how long I sat there after watching that video. My apartment was dark, quiet, but my brain was screaming. Not in anger, not yet, but in that raw, stunned way your body reacts when it can't catch up with what just happened. She lied to me, not in the vague white lie kind of way. This was surgical, cold. She planned it, scripted it, told me she was healing, then went out and rehearsed a new life, while I was stuck on pause, replaying our greatest hits like a fool. I didn't sleep that night. I opened every text we'd sent the past month, reread her messages. "I'm not ready for anything right now. I need space to process my trauma. You deserve someone who isn't this broken." All while she was out drinking wine and kissing another man under string lights. Around 3 a.m., I started collecting things. Not hers. She'd taken most of her stuff. But mine. My journals, screenshots of texts, voice notes. I opened a folder and labeled it Clarity. If I couldn't trust her words anymore, I'd document what I knew. Not to get revenge. Not yet. But because I needed to remind myself this wasn't my fault. At 10 a.m. the next day, I called in sick to work. First time in 2 years. I needed answers. I messaged Rachel again. Did she say when they started seeing each other? The typing bubble popped up, then disappeared. Then popped up again. "I'm really sorry, Nick. I don't want to get involved. But I'll say this. They were flirting way before she moved out." I swallowed hard. "How long before?" "I don't know exactly. A few weeks?" We all noticed. There were jokes around the office. She told people she wasn't technically single yet, but that it was complicated. Complicated. She made our relationship sound like a parking ticket. I thanked Rachel and left it at that. She didn't owe me anything. The next few days, I went numb. I didn't text Emma. I didn't block her either. I wanted her to say something. Anything. An apology. An excuse. A confession. But she didn't. Radio silence. Then, out of nowhere, 5 days later, she messaged me. "Hey, can we talk? I've been thinking a lot." I stared at that bubble for 5 minutes. I didn't reply right away. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I knew if I answered too fast, she'd feel like she still had that power over me. I waited 2 hours. Then I wrote, "What about?" She replied instantly. "I just feel like things ended weird. And I wasn't in a good headspace. I want to talk. In person. If you're okay with that." I agreed to meet. I don't know why. Closure? Hope? Maybe I wanted to see if she'd lie to my face like she did through texts. We met at the little cafe near the park where we used to sit and share one croissant because she said 2 was too indulgent. She was already there when I arrived. Early. That used to mean something. Now I wondered if it was just strategy. She stood up when she saw me, eyes glassy. She looked like someone who knew they were walking into a courtroom, not a conversation. "Hi," she said softly. "Hey." We sat. She looked down at her coffee for a while before speaking. "I don't know where to start," she whispered. "You could start with the truth," I said. She flinched. "Good. I was in a really dark place, Nick. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I didn't feel like myself. And then Zach was there and he made me feel seen." I raised my hand. Don't paint this like a healing journey. You lied. You told me you needed space. That you were broken. But you were out drinking wine and kissing another guy the same night you said you couldn't even talk to me." She blinked rapidly. "You saw that?" I nodded. "Rachel's story. I saw everything." Her shoulders collapsed. "I didn't know she posted that. It wasn't supposed to..." "Wasn't supposed to what? Be visible? Or be real?" She leaned back, breathing shallow. "I didn't plan to hurt you." "But you did. Over and over." Silence. Then she said something I'll never forget. "I didn't think you'd find out. And honestly, I thought you'd move on faster." I laughed. Not out of humor, but out of sheer disbelief. "So this was easier for you. You lied because you thought I'd just go quietly." "No," she snapped. "I didn't want to see you break. I couldn't handle your pain." I stared at her. "So instead, you gave it to me in silence and ran." She didn't answer. I pulled out my phone and played the video. The one where she laughs with Zach and says, "He bought it like always." Her face drained of color. "You saved it?" she whispered. "No," I said calmly. "I saved myself." She stood up, grabbed her bag, and stormed out. Not a goodbye. Not a sorry. Just the sound of a chair scraping across tile and the door slamming shut behind her. I sat there for a while. Then I opened my messages and wrote a text to myself. The worst part isn't that she lied. It's that she made me feel crazy for suspecting it. And somehow, that realization felt like the first honest breath I'd taken in weeks. The day after our conversation, if you could call it that, I deleted her number. I didn't block her. I didn't want her to think she still had that kind of power. But I needed space that was real, not the illusion of healing she'd sold me. I didn't go to work that day either. Instead, I walked. Miles and miles. Through the park. Down alleys I hadn't noticed before. Past coffee shops we used to sit in. I kept waiting for the grief to overwhelm me, to take me under like a tidal wave. But something else happened. I got angry. Not the loud kind of angry. Not the yelling, breaking things, punching walls type of rage. I'd seen that in movies. This was quieter. Heavier. It was the kind that settled in your bones and made your hands cold. The kind that made you replay every "I love you" and wonder if they were just carefully crafted lines in a script. I texted Rachel one last time. "Thank you for the truth. I'm sorry you got caught in it." She replied a few hours later. "I actually wanted to tell you something else. If you're okay hearing it." I said yes. I was already in the middle of the storm. Might as well let it finish tearing through. She sent a voice memo. "Hey Nick, I don't know if this helps or makes things worse, but after everything that happened, people at the office started talking. Turns out Emma and Zach didn't just start seeing each other recently. There were rumors. She was flirting with him even before she moved out. I didn't believe them at first, but someone found texts. She told him she was phasing you out gently. Her words, not mine, phasing me out. Like I was a piece of software being decommissioned. I didn't cry. I just nodded to myself, alone in my apartment, as if I'd expected it. Because maybe I had. I started going to therapy twice a week. My therapist, Mark, didn't tell me I was crazy. He told me I was grieving a future that never existed, that I was in love with the version of her I thought was real, not the one who manipulated me with kindness and wore honesty like a seasonal jacket, something to take off when it got too warm. Weeks passed, and then something strange happened. Zach reached out to me. I didn't recognize the number at first. Just a random text. "Hey, it's Zach. I know this is weird, but can we talk?" I stared at it. Thought about ignoring it. Thought about sending something brutal. But curiosity won. "Talk about what?" I wrote back. She lied to me too. Badly. I didn't know. We met in a quiet bar the next day. I didn't expect much. Honestly, I thought maybe he was trying to clear his conscience, throw some excuse about not knowing we were still together. But when I saw him, I saw something familiar. Exhaustion. Confusion. The same haunted look I'd seen in the mirror. He bought us 2 beers, sat down and said, "I thought you two were long done." That's what she told me. She said you were emotionally manipulative, that you guilt-tripped her anytime she tried to grow. She told me you cheated. My jaw clenched. "I never did. I know that now," he said quietly. At first, I believed her. But then I saw how she talked about you, always with this weird mix of contempt and nostalgia, like she hated you for loving her more than she deserved. I didn't reply. Just sipped my beer. She told me about this restaurant she loved. Said she used to go there with you, but it never felt special. Then when I took her there, she cried in the middle of dinner. Said she missed the way you used to wipe sauce off her face. I blinked. Zach shook his head. It messed with me. I realized I was in the middle of someone else's story. A replacement. A prop. We sat in silence for a long while. I ended it, he finally said. Last week. She begged me to stay. Said I didn't understand her trauma. But I think I understood more than she did. Did she ever admit the overlap? I asked. He nodded slowly. Yeah. Eventually. Said it wasn't really cheating because she had already made up her mind. That she just didn't know how to let go of someone who never hurt her. That line hit harder than I expected. Because it was true. I never hurt her. I gave her the safest love I could. But I guess for some people, safe feels like a cage. We left on decent terms. I told Zach I didn't hate him. I didn't. He was just another casualty in her story. A chapter, not the villain. By the time I got home, I had a message request on Instagram. It was from Emma. Please stop talking about me. People at work are asking questions. I laughed out loud. Actually laughed. I hadn't posted anything. I hadn't said her name to anyone outside my therapist, my brother, and now Zach. But apparently, Rachel's cryptic post, "Some people heal by lying. Some people lie to heal," had done the job. I ignored her message. A few days later, I got a call from an unknown number. I didn't answer. Then came another, and another, then a voicemail. Her voice shaky. You ruined everything. They let me go from work today. HR said I created a hostile environment. I don't even know what you said to people, but this isn't fair. I was trying to move on. You had no right. I played that message back 3 times, not because I cared, but because it confirmed everything. Even now, she couldn't own what she did. Her lies, her manipulation. It was my fault things were falling apart. She never saw me as a partner. I was a mirror, one that reflected everything she didn't want to confront in herself. I saved the voicemail, labeled it closure, and then I deleted her from everywhere. I didn't tell anyone about the voicemail. I didn't need to. It was already over. Not just the relationship, but the illusion of who she was. It's strange how someone can break your heart. And yet the most painful part isn't the betrayal itself. It's the moment you realize they were never who you thought they were. Emma used to call herself self-aware. Said therapy taught her how to recognize patterns, how to unlearn harm, but in the end, all it did was give her fancier words for cruelty. She didn't unlearn anything. She just learned how to wrap it in softer language, call it processing instead of avoiding, healing instead of running, boundaries instead of abandonment. I kept going to therapy. Mark told me I had a choice now. I could spend months, maybe years, trying to decode her, or I could figure out why I let someone like her stay in my life so long. So that's what I did. I stopped asking why she lied. I started asking why I didn't walk away when I saw her eyes glaze over every time I talked about my day. Why I thought loving her harder would make her love me back. Why I clung to her silence like it was some kind of riddle I just hadn't solved yet. I started saying no to people more often. I said no to my boss when he tried to pile extra deadlines on me. No to my friends when they wanted to set me up before I was ready. No to myself when I felt like slipping back into old thought patterns. I even said no to Emma's sister when she texted me out of nowhere asking, "Hey, are you guys okay? She seems really messed up right now." That used to be the bait, the guilt hook. The idea that I was somehow still responsible for her. That if she was spiraling, it must be because I didn't handle the breakup well enough. But I didn't fall for it this time. I didn't even reply. What I did do was something small, but powerful. I took the hoodie she left behind, the one she used to wear when she felt sad and safe, and I folded it carefully, placed it in a box with an old mug, a photo strip from a fair, and one of the books she never finished. Then I drove to a donation center and handed it off. "Is this from someone special?" the woman behind the desk asked with a kind smile. "It used to be," I said. That night, I slept better than I had in months. A week later, I ran into Rachel at a local bookstore. It wasn't planned. She was flipping through a copy of the Midnight Library, and I was in the self-help aisle pretending I wasn't reading Attached for the 3rd time. We made eye contact. She smiled. I smiled back. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey." We ended up grabbing coffee nearby. No pressure, no weird undertones. Just 2 people who'd been too close to the same fire, now quietly warming their hands together. We talked about books, about work, about how awkward it was when HR started investigating Emma's workplace conduct after the voicemail got passed around the office. Apparently, someone had heard it, Zach maybe, and showed it to their manager. No one said anything out loud, but the writing was on the wall. "She never thought she'd face consequences," Rachel said, stirring her tea. "People like that, they're good at staying just on the edge of truth. Never quite evil, just slippery." I used to admire her, I admitted. "She always seemed so in control, so self-possessed." Rachel smirked. "Control's not the same as peace." We sat in silence for a moment, and then she asked the question I hadn't heard in months. "How are you, really?" It caught me off guard. Not because no one asked, but because no one had asked like that. Without expectation, without agenda, just genuine curiosity. "I'm rebuilding," I said. "And weirdly, I'm okay with the ruins." She smiled. "That's poetic. I've had a lot of time alone." Rachel and I stayed in touch. Not romantically. Not yet anyway. But there was something gentle about the way she entered my life. No grand declarations. No emotional debts. Just simple conversations that didn't leave me questioning my worth. Meanwhile, Emma spiraled. Or so I heard. Secondhand, bits and pieces. She posted a cryptic story on Instagram with a black background and white text. "Some people pretend to love you just to see how much you'll bleed for them." It got reshared by a few of her friends. Probably about me. I didn't care. Let her paint me as the villain in her next therapy session. A few weeks after that, Zach texted me again. "You were right." She never stopped spinning. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Some people look for love to grow. Others look for it to hide. Emma had used me like a mirror, trying to fall in love with her reflection. And when the reflection started asking for honesty, she smashed it. But I wasn't glass anymore. I was learning to be still. I never expected healing to feel so quiet. Not peaceful, not yet, but quiet. The kind of stillness that comes after a storm's done tearing apart your house and you're left sweeping up the glass, realizing the silence doesn't mean nothing's happening. It means something new might finally begin. That's where I was. The voicemail stopped haunting me. Her face stopped popping up when I closed my eyes at night. The dreams turned from flashbacks to blank space. I wasn't filling every empty moment with her ghost anymore. Instead, I filled them with breath, books, walks that didn't lead anywhere, dinners by myself where I finally stopped checking my phone. Rachel and I talked more, sometimes on the phone, sometimes over coffee. She never pushed, never asked for anything. I think she knew, instinctively, that I was still crawling out of something. She didn't reach in to pull me, just waited at the edge with a flashlight. One evening, she sent me a photo, a group chat screenshot between her, two coworkers, and, shockingly, Emma. It was from a few months ago. The caption above said, "Found this in my gallery by accident." Weird how much makes sense now. In the screenshot, Emma was writing about me. I don't want to be the villain, but if I wait until I'm completely done emotionally, he'll spiral. I'm trying to time this right so it's not messy. Another message. Zach thinks I'm single. Lol. Technically, I am. Emotionally, I'm just still babysitting the breakup. Babysitting. I didn't reply for a while. Not because I was angry, but because the hurt didn't even sting anymore. It was dull now, like a scar that itched when the weather changed. Eventually, I wrote back, "Thanks for sending. I think this is the closure I didn't know I still needed." Rachel just sent a heart emoji. Nothing else. She understood. Emma had moved away by then. Changed cities, from what I heard. Started over somewhere else. She deleted most of her social media. A soft vanishing. No fanfare. Just gone. The last post she ever left up was a selfie with the caption, "No one really knows what you've survived except you." That line used to trigger me. Now I just saw it for what it was. Armor. Worn by someone who could never admit they were the one holding the knife half the time. About a month later, I took a trip. Italy. Not for some eat, pray, love moment, just to be away. To breathe a different kind of air. I walked alone through narrow streets in Rome, ordered espresso badly, smiled at strangers. I started sketching again. Something I hadn't done in over a year. One night, sitting on the balcony of a tiny guest house, I drew Emma for the last time. Not her face, just the silhouette of the moment she turned away from me on that cafe chair and walked out. Then I burned the page. When I came back, I met up with my brother Lucas. He'd been checking in on me all year, never prying, always present. We grabbed beers, sat by the water, and just talked like we used to. "You seem lighter," he said. "I am." She tried to reach out again? "No? You think she will?" I shook my head. "Even if she does, I won't be there anymore." He smiled. "Good. Took you long enough, that was the thing. It did take me long. But I forgave myself for that. I stopped measuring my recovery by how fast I could move on. I wasn't racing anyone. I wasn't trying to win the breakup. I was just trying to get back to myself. And slowly I did. Not the old version of me. Not the one who excused red flags as just stress, or who thought being understanding meant staying silent while someone chipped away at him. This was a newer me. Wiser, a little more cynical maybe, but also clearer. I didn't need Emma to say sorry anymore. I didn't need Zach to feel guilty, or Rachel to keep reminding me I wasn't crazy. I knew who I was, and for the first time in a long time, that was enough. Then one night, it happened. I got an email, not a text, not a call, an old-school, full-length email from Emma. The subject line, "I owe you this." My stomach turned. I clicked it. "Nick, I've started and deleted this so many times. There's no version of this that feels good or satisfying or right, but I needed to say it anyway. You were good to me. Too good. And I took advantage of that. I thought I was protecting you by easing out slowly, but I was really just protecting myself from guilt. I told myself lies to justify it, like you'd be okay, or you'd find someone else fast. But the truth is, you didn't deserve what I did. I used your kindness as a cushion, and then I blamed you for not letting me fall harder. I'm not writing to get you back. I know that door's closed. I just wanted you to hear from me. The real me, not the version I let people see. I hope you're happy. I really do. I'm trying to get there too. Emma, I read it twice. Then I archived it. Not because I hated her, not because I didn't appreciate the apology, but because I'd already written my own ending long before she ever found the words for hers. And hers wasn't mine anymore. I didn't reply to the email. Not because I was angry. Not because I wanted to prove anything. But because I didn't feel the need to continue a story that had already ended. Some chapters don't require footnotes or epilogues. Some people don't get a final conversation. They get silence, not as punishment, but as peace. A week later, I sat in the same park where Emma once told me she needed to heal. Back then, I believed her. I believed everything. Her tone, her trembling hands, even the quiet guilt behind her words. I wanted so badly for it to be true. To believe that people who love you don't lie to you. That the ones who whisper, "I'm broken," aren't the ones doing the breaking. Now, I knew better. I brought a notebook with me. Blank pages. Clean, fresh, untouched. For the first time in a long time, I felt ready to write again. Not about her, about me. About what it means to love someone so much that you forget to love yourself, and what it means to claw your way back from that. I started writing. Not a letter, not a journal entry. Just truths. About how love isn't supposed to confuse you. About how people who care don't need to be decoded. About how the worst kind of manipulation wears the face of vulnerability and calls itself healing. And then I wrote this line, without thinking. Healing isn't asking for space to lie. It's choosing to live in the truth, even when it hurts. That was it. That was the whole story in one sentence. Everything she wasn't willing to do. Everything I eventually did. Weeks passed. Rachel and I grew closer. Slowly. Carefully. Like people walking across ice after watching someone else fall through. There was no grand moment. No dramatic kiss in the rain. Just steady conversation. Warm glances. Inside jokes that stayed inside. Safe and ours. One night, while we were walking back from a late dinner, she looked over at me and said, "You're not scared anymore, are you?" I thought about it. "No," I said. "I think I was scared of being alone. But now I'm scared of pretending again. Of forcing something that isn't real." She nodded. "Good. Don't pretend for anyone. Not even me," I smiled. "Especially not you." By the time autumn came, I had finally moved out of the apartment Emma and I once shared. I didn't do it out of bitterness. I just didn't want to carry those walls with me anymore. I found a small place closer to the lake. It had creaky floors and terrible insulation, but it felt like mine. Like freedom. Like truth. One rainy evening, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was the old photo booth strip. The one of Emma and me at the fair. We were laughing in the first 2 frames. Kissing in the 3rd. And in the 4th, she was looking at me like I was her whole world. That version of her. The one in that picture. I could mourn. I didn't know who sent it. Maybe her. Maybe someone else. It didn't matter. I folded it. Placed it gently into the drawer of my nightstand and closed it. Not to forget, but to remember, without needing to revisit. There's this idea that healing is about getting back to who you were before. But that's not true. Healing is destruction. It's demolition. It's ripping out rot you didn't know was in the walls and rebuilding with better wood, stronger nails, and your own damn blueprint. Emma taught me how far I can fall, but I taught myself how to stand back up. Months later, I posted something online. Not for her. Not even for me. Just for anyone who needed it. It was simple. Just a few lines. She told me she was healing. The same day she was on a date someone else recorded. I spent weeks blaming myself, wondering if I was too much. Turns out the only thing I was guilty of was loving someone who never loved me back the same way. It got reshared. A lot. People messaged me, thanked me, told me their own stories. Turns out there are hundreds, thousands, of people who've been told, "I just need time," by someone who was already halfway out the door. I never said her name. Never told the full story. I didn't need to. I wasn't trying to expose her. I was trying to reclaim myself. One morning, a few months later, I got a message from someone I didn't know. Just 4 words. "You helped me leave." And that was it. The circle closed. I never needed Emma to say sorry again. I never needed her to finally understand. The apology, the email, the silence, none of it changed anything. Because the real victory wasn't in hearing her regret it. It was in the fact that I no longer did. That was the real healing. And this time, it was mine.